Hi, welcome back to Future Vision, the 2020 DTG Summit. Now, I hope that this next session doesn't keep you up at night because many of us are now living in smart homes using mobile apps to control the lighting, turn up the heating or set security cameras. Devices such as smart TVs, soundbars, home tablets and laptops are increasingly interconnected. We want the convenience offered by the Internet of Things, but few of us, it seems, are aware of the hazards. So we asked cybersecurity specialists at Avast how vulnerable our homes are to malicious hackers. Their answer came in the form of a demonstration that some of you might find rather chilling.
Thank you. When I was given the opportunity to speak at the DTG Summit, I was quite excited. Meeting with people who are responsible for the technical side of modern entertainment industry, manufacturers of micro-LED panels, and even people from some production companies. Unfortunately, due to Netflix releasing the new season of Black Mirror to a different platform than usual, we have to do it remotely. My name is Vladislav Iliushin, and welcome to Avast IoT Lab. Now, before we start, I want to ask you, how many of you consider your home a smart home? Do you have only one smart assistant, or your house is full with smart lights and other IoT devices? As most of you know, the number of connected devices, particularly during COVID, is set to take off. Now, depending on which numbers you're going to believe, the number of connected devices is going to reach anything between 25 and 50 billion in just next couple of years. And for the most part, it is true IoT devices. These are non-computers and non-mobile phones. There are just a few billion computers and 6 to 8 billion mobile phones in the world. Another thing that is interesting is that over 2/3 of these devices are expected to be consumer-level devices. That is the stuff that we connect in our homes. These devices are not evil per se. First and foremost, they were created to bring us more convenience. The more time you can remotely switch on your washing machine, the more time you can sit watching Netflix with your family. Some of us no longer use remote controls, but ask Alexa to play something on the TV. The fundamental problem here is that the smart home ecosystem is developing faster than the means to keep it secure. One could say that this is the Wild West era of smart technology and its security. Our recent study shows that in the UK, 27.9% of smart homes have at least one vulnerable device, potentially putting the whole network at risk. Majority of such devices are vulnerable to others due to unpatched vulnerabilities or weak credentials. This can be easily abused or misused by cybercriminals. Now, it really only takes one vulnerable device to get into the home network and enable the attack on all other devices that are in the network, or basically take complete control of the home. The chain is only as secured as its weakest link, and the smart home as strongly secured as its weakest device. And that is because the local networks were designed with the idea of perimeter security, like firewalls. But once you are inside the network, things are usually very open and very friendly to each other. And the issue is that people start thinking about security only after the fact when something bad actually happened and they are affected. Now, let's get into the examples of the IoT abuse. For the next few minutes, I'm going to play the role of the hacker who wants to hack as many IoT devices as possible. The first step is to find the right target. And to do that, I'm going to use Shodan. Shodan is just like Google, but for Internet of Things. Instead of searching for pictures of 22-1B Baker Street, you can search for gas stations, electrical hydro plants, or even more consumer-friendly devices like routers, network-attached storages, or IP cameras. And to be absolutely transparent, you can get the same information from multiple services like Zoom-Eye or Sensis. So, we have searched for poorly secured cameras in the UK and found numerous examples looking into the streets, parkways, living rooms, child cribs, or even herbs of some kind. But among the long list of interesting things to hack, I choose one particularly interesting IP camera. See, it looks into someone's lap, and I can see some other IoT devices that hopefully I can play with. Now that I have selected the target, I'm going to run Nmap scan to see what other services are running on the public IP address of that home. And it seems there are two services running. Because I'm a very lazy hacker, I'm just going to put the IP address with the port number in the browser. And hey, I'm inside. That was very easy, and any script kiddie can do this. At this point, I have unrestricted access to the video stream. And as you can see there, I can move this camera around freely. Why is that, you ask? Well, the manual for this camera is 136 pages long, and instructions for how to change the default password are on the page 96. Would any of you read this manual? Exactly. I have access to the camera, so let's move to the settings menu and change a few things. First, I'm going to change the motion detection settings. So every time there is a loud sound or a motion detected by this camera, it is going to upload the clip of that happening to my FTP server. We will get to this part back later. Next, because I'm a hacker, I prefer to have actual root access. So I'm going to do something called command injection, which will allow me to connect to this camera using telnet. Last thing to do is to actually try to connect to this camera, and hey, I'm inside. At this point, I'm inside the smart home network, inside somebody's lab, living their lives with them. Now, I'm going to use Nmap to scan the whole local network of the house to see what other devices I can play with. And you can see that there are 14 devices online, so I'm just going to pick one and start with that. I pick smart lights. I'm not even going to bother with asking how many of you have smart lights at home. Apparently, these lights do not require any authorization or authentication, and by issuing very simple commands, I can control them. So let's invite owners of the house to some RGB party. Trust me, if you have the house full of those lights, it is not a pleasant experience. There is another command available to me, which is called getsysinfo, and it provides system information about these smart lights, like the state and the color, but also latitude and longitude. Thing is, when you pair these lights with your companion app on your phone, the physical GPS location of your phone is stored inside those light bulbs. So not only at this point I have full unrestricted access to the video stream, I also know physical GPS location of the lab. Let's move on. What about smart speakers? Do any of you have Sonos at home? I do, and by making this thing wake me up every morning to some Spotify playlist, my top songs of the year are the songs that I hate. Now, I'm going to run Nmap scan to see what services are running on Sonos. And hey, there are quite a few. Let's start with UPnP Daemon. UPnP is a set of protocols that allows IoT devices to communicate with each other. And by using SSDP and DLNA extensions of these protocols, I can make the Sonos play any audio. So let's play some music. Now, it may look fun, but imagine someone doing it to you at 4 a.m. in the morning after a good party, just long enough to wake you up. I'm not done with Sonos. There is another service running, and because I am a very lazy hacker, I'm just going to put IP address with the port number in the browser. And oh my, I get error 43 forbidden. I'm very sorry, apparently I'm a very bad hacker, and guys at Sonos are good at security. Or are they? What if we append /status to the URL? And hey, we got a lot more options. I like options. Now, if the owners of the house haven't updated the firmware of the Sonos for quite some time, which is a reasonable assumption, we can actually see the accounts menu. So let's move in. You can see some hashes, some IDs, but let me zoom even more. Meet the owners of the house, Whitney and Joe. Now that we know the names of the owners, we can try to leverage that information and try to do ransomware attack coming from Whitney's smart speaker.
Hey Whitney.
It's been a long time.
I own your smart house.
I am in charge now.
Be so kind.
And pay me 1 Bitcoin.
Now, I have a confession to make. When I prepared this message, Bitcoin was worth something. So just to be sure, let's make it 2.
You know,
1 Bitcoin is not enough.
The price is
2.
Bitcoins from now on.
2.
Bitcoins from now on.
2.
Bitcoins from now on.
So, to summarize, smart speakers are great, but some can give away your name. Now, let's move to this setup over here. As this is a DTG summit, you are familiar with the decision of the European Union to free the frequency band of old DVB-T standard, so such frequencies can be used for 5G. But because older TVs do not support new broadcast standards like DVB-T2, and some people were not so keen on buying newer TVs, the market of set-top boxes is thriving. Right now, you can buy a set-top box for as low as £20, connect it to your old TV or even a monitor, and receive public TV broadcast. So instead of hacking the TV, we are going to hack the set-top box instead. I know that there is only one port open, but it is a telnet port, which will allow me full root access to this box with no authorization or authentication whatsoever. Unfortunately, the functionality of this box is very limited. I could crash it, of course, or render it useless, but what would be the fun in that? Instead, I'm going to play with DNS settings and make the only useful app on this box, weather forecast, display ransomware-like messages. Gimmicky? Yes. Efficient? Let's hope we will never have to find out. But what if the person has more modern, more powerful smart TV? Well, that makes things much more easier for an attacker. Because such TVs support a wide variety of different protocols, it is more up to an attacker imagination than skill. In our case, we are going to use UPnP DLNA and UPnP SSDP protocols to hijack this TV and play ransomware messages. And because this procedure can be looped, even when homeowners will try to play something else, this message will appear again and again, over and over. At this point, homeowners are now locked out of their TV, and the only thing left for them is to turn it off. Lucky for an attacker, this TV supports Wake on LAN, which will allow the hacker to start it back up. Homeowners can send this TV for repair, and if they are lucky, get the replacement. But because the malicious payload is not on the TV itself, but on the other device in the network, this won't help. And the moment this brand new TV is plugged into the network, the attack can continue. Now, let's summarize. At this point, I have hours of footage from this IP camera. I know the names of the owners, and I know the physical location. So I think it is time to pay Joe and Whitney a visit. There are a few steps required to do this. Firstly, apparently Whitney and Joe value their safety. That is why they purchased this white box over there. It is a smart home security system with all kinds of sensors and cameras. Now, let's say it is evening and Whitney and Joe are going to arm it. You can see that the lid is open and the system is armed. Now, I could try to do something sophisticated, or because this system is integrated with Alexa, I'm going to ask her very nicely.
Hey Alexa, ask Sophie to disarm the alarm.
Passcode needed for this action. What is your passcode?
1234.
You have disarmed the alarm.
Some explanation is clearly needed. Well, it took me over 30 minutes to find where to change the default passcode for this security system in the Companion app. And the chances that average user is going to do that are pretty low. And finally, Whitney and Joe installed HomeKit Smart Lock, which is controlled by the iPad over there. I can try to ask Siri nicely, but the thing is, Siri, unlike Alexa, can distinguish between my voice and Whitney's voice. But remember, at the very beginning, I changed the motion settings of that IP camera over there. At this point, I have hours of footage, but I'm not going to watch it. That would be creepy. Instead, I'm going to use machine learning and speech recognition to search for very specific key phrase, "Hey Siri," and I'm going to use that clip to trigger the Siri and ask her nicely to unlock the door for me. Like this.
Hey Siri.
Unlock the door, please.
Just a moment. Your living room door is unlocked.
Wow, what a weird living room. Whitney and Joe wanted their home to be safe. That's why they got all these security devices. But I have turned those devices against them, and this is the paradox. Instead of helping Whitney and Joe with the security, it made my job of getting in much easier. Now, I have shown you how to hack quite a lot of devices here, but if not for that IP camera over there, I would not be able to get inside the network and compromise all other devices. So remember, your home is only as strongly secured as the weakest link. Now, what about the state of IoT security right now? No attacker in their right mind would actually go through and hack the things that I showed manually. Instead, they would use simple automation scripts to make this all happen fully automatically with no interaction necessary from the botmaster. Reality is much more prosaic and ordinary. After the release of Mirai source code back in 2016, every script kiddie is using it to compile some other version of infamous botnet, but sometimes without even understanding the underlying architecture. If you want to be more safe, think about actually changing the default passwords in the devices at your house, updating the firmware frequently, and improving your perimeter security. That is, having the router with integrated security solution, or even having some kind of add-on that is capable of detecting network anomalies and blocking them. Thank you very much, and back to the studio.
Wow, I think I'll be going home to change some passwords. Well, Vlad joins us now live from Prague, along with Sean Obrey, who is Avast's Global Head of Partner Sales. And Sean is joining us from Helsinki. Welcome to both of you. Sean, if I could start with you. We heard Vlad there talking about our smart homes and how obviously they would be so much safer if we would all just change the passwords, particularly those default passwords. And if we updated our firmware and improved our perimeter security. I wonder to what extent you think that consumers are aware of the threats. I mean, is it just me who doesn't know to do this, or is this more widespread?
Well, I appreciate the question, and thank you very much for being here today. Let's put it pretty simply. We have a Wi-Fi management utility that scans Wi-Fi networks. And in the last month, we did 157 million scans of routers. 19.68% of those routers had weak credentials or weak passwords. So you could say from that summary that 20% of the population has not done anything about it. But let me ask you in the audience the question reverse. When was the last time you actually went into the management interface of your Wi-Fi router? And that doesn't even extend to just routers. For example, we did 100 million scans of laptops in the last month too, and 11% of them have vulnerabilities that can be easily exploited. So for every single device in the home, there is an issue that needs to be tackled.
Vlad, thank you very much indeed for that really impressive demonstration. We do regularly hear about corporations being targeted by malicious hackers, but less so people in their own homes. I wonder what a problem this is at the moment. I mean, is it very widespread? How seriously should consumers be taking this?
Thank you. So the thing is, if you're a journalist, would you write about a big, huge corporation having some security issues, or that a few million people actually got their IP camera hacked?
Yeah, I guess. So it is actually happening at the moment, right?
Exactly.
I could add a little color to that if you wish.
Sure, go ahead, please.
Our Smart Life solution that's based on the router or a device that's set into the home, we see notifications coming to the back end into our customers management interface. The average customer gets about 100 notifications a week, and about half of those are inbound IP pings into the different devices in their homes.
Wow. We've got quite a lot of questions coming in. If I could just put a couple of them to you. I wonder, Sean, if you think that regulators should be stepping in and insisting that consumer technology companies improve the security of consumer devices. Is this one for the regulators?
I think it's definitely something that adds to a layer of protection for all consumers. I think that it definitely needs to be in place. However, if you look at how many different manufacturers worldwide are producing what we call IoT smart devices that can be used in a smart home, the management and control of that is never going to be up to the same level of par that the regulations ask for. So it's a dual-edged challenge that both regulation and security companies like ourselves can help protect customers with.
Sean, do you worry that this will actually put people off installing this kind of equipment in their home, that they might actually think maybe it's better not to have an Alexa or a Siri or indeed any of these Internet of Things? I mean, is that an option these days?
I don't think it. I think that consumers love the experience that so many of these new devices bring to them, and they're looking to the service provider, the manufacturer, to help protect them. And at Avast, we can add the overlay of assurance that guarantees that that device would not be compromised, as Vlad has shown, that can help. So it's kind of an ecosystem that can help protect the end users. And I think customers expect this type of protection from the ecosystem. Like, as long as they've been using PCs to surf the internet, they know that there's means to protect them. And it's just the same thing. We just need to have more and more of the operators partnering with companies like Avast to be able to provide these kind of solutions to protect all the smart homes out there.
Vlad, I think you seem to have got quite a few fans among our delegates today. We've got some comments here saying that they think that you'd be an extremely good future TV presenter. And also a question for you, Vlad. Do you use the smart home systems yourself?
Yes, as I mentioned in the video, I have Sonos, and it truly is my alarm. I think my neighbors hate me for that because I have alarms set at 6, at 7, at 8, and depending of the urgency, it is one of them is going to wake me up, and it's quite good sound system. But as I shown in the video, there could be some potential problems with that. But yes, I was surprised actually. I used Avast Wi-Fi Inspector, and I found about 15 devices in my home.
Wow.
Yes.
Sean, could I ask if there is one piece of advice that you would give to anybody listening who has been slightly terrified by the demonstration that Vlad gave? What would it be?
I would say don't be terrified. There are solutions out on the market today, including Avast Omni and Avast Smart Life, that would protect you from having and put you at ease of mind and peace of mind while you're on the internet. I don't think that that you need to worry today, as long as you take awareness, educate yourself, and find the solutions to protect yourself.
Well, Sean and Vlad, we're out of time, but thank you both very much indeed for joining us. And Vlad, thank you very much for that demonstration. There's lots for all of us to think about, and I think that some of the team here are literally changing their passwords as we're on air. Now, we're going to take a slightly longer break now. It would be the afternoon tea break if we were all together. So it's time to put the kettle on once again and wander in with a cup of tea to the exhibition, where our event partners are ready to greet you on their virtual stands. And when we come back, our international keynote will be considering a vision for the future of television. We're doing that with another esteemed panel of experts who will be putting together the various strands that we've heard so far. So don't miss that. See you soon.